want to get into, an article that was posted by Xbox Era. Now, listen, folks, I get that there are a lot of people in here that have lost trust in Xbox Era. I'm here to tell you that I have not. Have they gotten some things wrong? Has Nick been wrong? Yes. And so have I, and everyone on this panel for that matter. But I will tell you what Nick has that I don't, and that is connections that he gets right. He is well connected. And well, listen, your mileage is going to vary on whether or not you believe there's going to be this first party drop, the shadow drop, if you will, and whether or not the report that, again, it's not from Xbox Era. They are reporting based on Ecstasy's connections and what he said on Twitter, but they made a story which I pulled. Now I'm friends with both Xbox Era, everyone on that team, and Ecstasy's for that matter as well. But I want to get into this because we have a good idea, Boxenberger, what's going to be at the show. I think it's safe to say anybody of the 1,000 people that are here, which is crazy, by the way, to have that many people watching us live from Twitter and, of course, YouTube. That is, we're gonna probably see Perfect Dark. I think it's safe to say any one of us on the panel or in the chat could say, "Hey, Fable, yes, it's probably going to be there." There's been some talk about Gear 6 being there. There's been talk for months about the Gears of War collection potentially being a shadow drop there. I talked to a connection that believes that told me not only is it real, and we all know it's real because I'm not the only one talking about it, but that it is going to drop. Now, is it a shadow drop? I don't know. But listen, according to Ecstasies, we're going to, again, this is going to be one of those topics that we, you know what? I'm not even going to split it. I'm just going to let you go ham on it because this is a beefy one. The Xbox handheld Boxenberger is something that we've all been asking for. Now, I have a ROG Ally, but it's very PC. I'm not a PC guy. I play on it. I enjoy it. It's very top heavy for PC. That's not what I'm looking for. I simply want a handheld that's branded with Xbox, whether it be black, whether it be white. I don't care what the color is. And when I put the power button on, I want it to act like my console. I want to see the Xbox logo come on. I want all of my tiles there. I want the background that I chose. And I'm going to press the A button and I'm going to go. That's what I want. That is what Ecstasies is saying is potentially going to be teased at this event. And on top of that, he also suggests through someone he has spoken to on good authority that there is definitely going to be a first-party shadow drop on Sunday. Let's get into it, dude.
Yeah. Let me start with the shorter topic of the shadow drop. See, that's my general problem with all these legit insiders these days. None of these insiders are insider guessings. This is just educated guesswork here. Towerborn has been playable for more than a year now. I played it last year at Gamescom. It was in a fantastic state. I've been part of the beta. Can't really talk about the game, but the things I can say is they allowed you to play the game, the full game, in the beta for 6 months. It ran flawlessly. It is more than a safe, well-educated guess to just say, "Oh, I have a source here." Yeah, bro, trust me, I have a source. It's gonna shadow drop. Of course, that game is ready for 6 months now. I've been playing it for 6 months, 5 months or so. So, yeah, I don't really trust these insiders. There are a few insiders that have been proven to actually have sources that I do trust. I don't trust these guys anymore. This is like,
That's fair.
It's very, you can make a lot of guesswork here. I have a source that told me that Doom is going to be there, right? Yeah, it's educated guesswork that it's going to be there. So I'm really not a fan of these kind of rumors. However, I want to touch on the handheld thing because that gives me goosebumps, man. pretty much in the same boat like you are. I have the Rock Ally and I love it, and I play it a lot because I have to travel a lot, and it is fantastic handheld, but it is a PC. It literally runs Windows, and you have to deal with all the issues that come along with dealing with Windows and gaming on Windows, and tons of updates and driver issues and this and that. And on top of that, you have the third-party problem. I've talked on my podcast a lot about this because you always it comes down to the question: where do you buy the the third-party games? You're right. I love to play my games on the console. But when I decide to, play Dragon's Dogma, do I buy it on the Xbox console and then not be able to play it on my Ally? Or do I buy it on PC and so I can play it on my Ally too, but then I miss out on playing it on the big screen and in the living room?
Yep.
This is the third-party problem. And right now, there is a big market for handhelds. The Steam Deck was probably the first big one successful that made these handhelds, PC handhelds, so popular. And now we have the Ally, the Legion Go, and so on. You have all these handheld devices. And the market is there. People love to have handhelds that run their games natively. And having a dedicated Xbox handheld would be just absolutely awesome. Like you said, boot it up, and all your games that you own on the console are there.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to worry where do you buy your third-party problems. About a lot of games don't have Play Anywhere. Even Xbox games, you can't. Fallout. Everyone's playing Fallout right now again, right?
Yep.
Doesn't support Play Anywhere. No cross saves. It's just not a seamless experience to go back and forth. There are only a handful of games, like the Xbox first-party games that are in Game Pass and a bunch of other Game Pass titles that do support it, but that's about it. And so having that convenience of a dedicated handheld, Xbox handheld, would be just absolutely fantastic. My personal guess has always been that this is going to be a next-gen thing. That they start the next gen not with just a regular console. They will have that too, but the Series S is like a Switch device, a handheld that you can also dock to your TV. And that would be an absolute killer argument to invest into the ecosystem. If that's the case, if it's going to be a next-gen thing, I highly doubt that it will be at this showcase, honestly. However, if they decide to make the handheld their mid-gen refresh thing, and that they ditch the Xbox Series Slim that they've leaked last year during the FTC trial. Remember that Alexa-looking, adorably cute Xbox console that was basically a Slim. It's the same specs like the Series X, just a bigger hard drive, a better Wi-Fi, and a different form factor. So your typical Slim. They ditched that and rather invest in a proper Xbox handheld to come out this gen. It could absolutely be at this showcase. And I would actually love that, because do we know if Xbox is going to start in 26, maybe 27? Do we know if the handheld market isn't saturated by then? Think about it. How many handhelds are there right now on the market? All PC handhelds, but that market is getting kind of saturated. And the longer you wait, the more challenging it will to get a handheld to customers that are interested in a handheld, because they will probably all have one by 26 or 27. So it would make sense.
That really depends, Boxberg, and that's a great point. Saturation of anything in a market is never good, and you're right. The handheld market is getting more crowded. The issue, though, is honestly, and I'm not downgrading myself.
Yeah,
I have a ROG Ally. It's a great piece of tech. It's just not the kind of tech that I want. And
I do agree.
That there are a lot of people that want exactly what you said, a simply plug and play, turn on and go. And I
have
think
the console on the go.
For that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm just saying that the longer you wait, the more saturated the market will be, because not everyone is like us. Boom, not everyone. But anyway, I was on the Iron Lords this Sunday, and Cognito said or asked me what would be my dream announcement that makes this an 11 out of 10. And I said that they announce an Xbox handheld. So yeah, man, I'm hoping that it's true and that they will show this off. But I feel like it's probably going to be more like a next gen thing where they started off as the Series S predecessor and then a successor, pardon me, and then we won't see that at this showcase. But I hope I'm wrong.
I mean, listen, it's a fair assessment. Infinite Umbra, let's bring you in on the conversation. But before I do, let me just catch up on 3 super chats that came the way of Simon Brandy, who drops a very generous £2 super chat and goes on to say Xbox has an easy win if we see Xbox/PC exclusive. I mean, they're going to have to talk about some sort of exclusivity. And how long that is, we don't know. The market is changing. Like I said, I'm always going to be the old man in the room who does not like the idea of Xbox exclusives going to PlayStation. I'm just always going to be that guy. And I'm not going to apologize for it. It's fine. But the market is changing, and I understand that the market is no longer targeting me. They're targeting a new school of gamers who are used to playing here, there, and everywhere. And I think ultimately they're only going to care about making money. And, nothing I can do about it. Again, I don't have to like it. I just have to accept it. But thank you so much, Simon, for the support. JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $2 super chat and goes on to say, there's rumors of back compat returning to Xbox. Yes, that would be a monster announcement. I've heard the same thing. I haven't heard details, but it makes sense, right? They buy ABK. Activision and Blizzard has a ton of games that are going to be dropped into Game Pass. The backwards compatibility team is probably going to be wanting to work on these games. So yes, one of those announcements for the return of this team would be pretty cool. I would definitely dig that. Nightwolf 3186 drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he goes on to say, Boxenberger back. Showcase week just keeps getting better. Thank you so much for that, brother. Super appreciate it. So Umbra, let's talk about this, because again, this is a two-tiered conversation. One, of course, the handheld. Now, listen, there are a lot of choices out there. The Legion Go, the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally. There's a ROG Ally X on the way. Great pieces of hardware. Yeah, great, dude. Great pieces of hardware. But if you are someone like me who appreciates them, but doesn't really, that's not my style. I want an Xbox experience that I get on my Switch. Obviously, the power being much greater. But when I go to play my Switch in handheld mode, I press the power button, I press the A button a couple of times, and I go to the last game I was playing, and that's it. And I go and I enjoy it. I'm having fun with it, whether it be for 15 minutes or an hour and a half. It doesn't matter. Xbox has an opportunity here to show off what for me, how I see it playing out is Sarah Bond, who's in charge of hardware, walking out holding a handheld. Now, it would be a prototype, obviously, and say, yeah, this is our Xbox Series, whatever handheld. And yes, we're going to be launching it in whenever. I think that would be a really big moment for Xbox because they would get into the handheld market that has been dominated by, when you're talking about the platforms, by Nintendo Switch. And of course, what first party shadow drop? Towerborn seems like the logical one, and I really want to play that. That game looks like it's going to be amazing. But I'm waiting. I'm still waiting on that Gears of War collection in Unreal Engine 5. Let's talk about it.
So, as far as you want me to talk about both specific subjects, or
however you want to tackle it, brother. It's up to you.
Well, as far as the handheld, I am the leader of the Ally Alliance, as and we rally against the NHOs, which includes Mr. Joanna Dark, John Wolf. Now Kay Asante apparently is in on it. You know, K tried to play innocent, but he's villainous behind the scenes. Don't let him fool you.
Not
And
villainous. I love it. That's
he's
great.
villainous, and he tried to do it with kindness too. Like, hey, you know, that's a nice device there. I had that about 5 years ago. He'll say something like that, like,
Killing
like
you with kindness, so as
exactly,
such.
But so having played the Rock Ally as I have in box, I know you play it as well. I see you often post about it. Uh, it's a great device, man. I know
It
you have
is.
it read as well, Boom. And it's hard to really sing the praises for it properly for those who don't care for handheld. I'm looking at the chat, and I know a lot of people are like, I'd rather play on my 65-inch. Trust me, I get it. I have my PC hooked to my 65-inch as well, so I get it. It's tough to move from that to a 7-inch or 8-inch the screen, right? But I think if you are, it depends on the type of person you are and the type of gamer you are and your needs, right? So
Yeah.
if you are on the go and you want to be able to game on the go, it's the same proposition that you would have if you played cloud gaming on your phone with xCloud, for instance. So except way, way better.
Way better.
you know, and better options. So you can plug your controller up to it, or you can use the built-in handheld, controller on it. So there is that, and you can get a lot out of this thing. I mean, from emulation to
Yes.
current gen games, everything like that. I've done it all. I've played Hellblade 2. I posted about that. I played Hellblade 2 on it. Worked phenomenally. Also, I've tried Halo on it. I've played Starfield on it. That's why I racked up so many hours in Starfield, actually being away from home, at work or wherever, and being able to play this. So for me, being able to have a device that Xbox can call home does a few things. One, it satisfies, and I think it settles down that worry a lot of people, a lot of gamers have of Microsoft leaving the console space, right? It kind of says, hey, we are here to stay.
Yep.
I think that helps cement that thought, because a lot of the thought is, oh, they're going to go third party and that's it, right? That's a lot of people still have that in the back of their head. I know they do. This right here says, no, we're not going anywhere. Yeah, we can tell you the words, but we're showing you we wouldn't make this dedicated device otherwise. So I think they're going to show that, if that is the case, that this happens, that we are here for the long run. As far as hardware goes, it's easy to get to software. I won't say easy because it's costly, but you know what I mean. Actually putting in the should I say R&D for development of the device is a trickier proposition, where it's going to cost way more money and dedication to get that right. Now I would wonder what the specs would be. See, and that's where the problem I think comes in at. And if they're saying, hey, this is a standalone device a la a PSP or a PS Vita, it's a standalone device that doesn't require you to have to tether it to a somewhat of a eGPU, for instance, that you would plug it up to like you would when you dock a Nintendo Switch.
Right.
Then nobody can be like, well, see, it'll hinder development for the next gen. They can't use that excuse. If it's its own separate device that allows you to play current and last gen games, previous gen games, I'll say. Let's go back to maybe even the 360 as far as what they'll allow. Let's just say that's the case, if that's the case.
Right.
And so if they have it as his own device, I think that alleviates that. Now, if they have it where we're talking about the two SKUs next gen, where it's going to be one dedicated straight to the plug into the TV device like the Series X, and the Series S version would be the handheld, then you might have that worry of the delta between the two, right? So that's possible, but I guess it depends. I feel like technology is ever advancing, and you have so many wizards there behind the scenes doing what they do. And we've heard about the handheld, their what's the name of their the Surface team, allegedly
Yes.
working with them. I
Yep.
wouldn't be like, with the technology they managed to squeeze into the Surface and the Surface Pro and all of that. I wouldn't be surprised if, with all these new chips we see coming out and all these new advances, that they might find a way to make this thing capable of doing everything it needs to do next gen and still be dockable and not hinder any development of other games and things like that for the higher end SKU.
Well, that makes
So
sense, dude. I mean,
yeah,
what you're saying, I think you really hit the nail on the head, because the best beard in the business is working on the next standard underneath your TV box, right? Jay Ronald and that team are working on the next Xbox. Work on that. That's great.
Mhm.
Having the Surface team be a part of what is going to be the handheld, whatever that looks like, whatever it winds up being, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal because they do some incredible work with the Surface and they know how to make portable things like laptops. I see that I see that this is going to be a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I can see that. And this is my thing. I'll say this, and I've said this before, and I don't want this to sound funny because it's going to sound funny. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to sound like, what? This bot. But I'll say this. We talk about our Hoove brothers, right? And how, oh, they this, they're that. One thing they are for sure is loyal. And
Yes.
they will go out and buy all these ridiculous peripherals and things of that nature from Sony that they're not going to use or whatever. When you have something that like this, I think where it's a capable device, if that is the case, let's say it's a capable handheld device, it would behoove us to support Microsoft in this endeavor because it pushes them further to continue, advancing when it comes to technology and in that aspect. People have been clamoring for a handheld
Yep.
from them for a long time. This is not new, and they have been, oh, give us a handheld, give us a hand. Now you say that and then you don't support it. You've defeated the purpose of doing all of that begging for it, and it doesn't incentivize them to try out anything else going forward. It might just push them out of the console space for all we know. I'm just saying, I think if you all want all of that, support them, support and get the devices that you've been begging for, literally. Like as long as it's a decent product, of course. I'm not advising you to get something that's trash. Like for instance, I wouldn't ever be like, man, go get the Portal. You want to support Sony? Like I would never tell you that because it's not worth it. But if you're going to ask for this and they give you a capable, let's just say it's capable and comparable to, and I guess Asante will like this since he loves this device and he used it to rub it in my face. Let's say it's comparable to the AOK Zoe or whatever how you say it, Zoe or Zoe A1 Pro. That's an 8-inch screen, is more powerful than the ROG Ally. Let's say it's comparable to something like that. Now that thing is pricey.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that Microsoft will have cost cutting and such like that, so the device might not be crazy. I don't know, but let's just say it's a comparable in some ways to that or the ROG. I think that's more than reason enough to get on board. So my thing would be to fans, if you on the fence of it, look and see what they're offering spec wise, if it's true,
Yeah.
and say, hey, maybe I might support this because again, you're not going to keep getting these types of things from them if there's no actual support. I think that's the biggest problem for them right there. But the good thing is that it offer options. If this is not something that is hindering anything next gen, then I think it's something they should do. You just have it as another option of gamers what they can use to go and play on the go.
I think you're onto something. I don't know how expensive this device is going to be. I would imagine it's going to be pricey, and you know what? That's fine because you don't have to buy it. I think that we are starting to get into a realm where handhelds are no longer like what, you know what I'm saying? And and that's not just because of the Switch. That's because of the Steam Deck. That's because of the ROG Ally. That's because of the Legion Go. They're becoming more mainstream, which is the same thing you can say about how Xbox Game Pass isn't as foreign for people as you think because everyone has a subscription service, usually 5 to 10 of them. So this is not new, right? This is not a new conversation that we're having. This is going to be a device that if you want, because I'll buy both. I am in for the hardware into the TV and something I can take on the go that acts like what's underneath the TV. It's got to be a box. It's got to be plug and play. It's got to update its own drivers like Xbox does. A game needs an update. You leave it, on sleep mode. It updates by itself. That's all I'm looking for. I don't want to have to do the rigmarole, but really
I
good
agree.
stuff.
I would
And
say that too, and that, like you said, you mentioned that a while ago. You said, I'm sorry to jump back in, but you mentioned
that's all right.
if they have it as a dedicated thing, which I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, we've been hearing all this stuff about these virtual machines they're probably going to leverage that going forward, where they can have these other devices, the ROGs and all of that, use those things where you have essentially an Xbox anyway on those devices, right? But let's say that that's not the case, whatever. If that's another cool thing where you don't have to go, like you say, through the rigmarole. One of my biggest worries of going and using PC was not having that console experience where I just plug, play, and go and get the gaming. I don't want, have to do all this other stuff and update the drivers or whatever the case may be, get the BIOS or whatever. I don't sometimes going to have to go through that right now. The PC I have, I don't really have that issue, but I'm just saying in general that you want to just have it ease of use. If they have that like that, that would be even better, just to have it straight dedicated straight to Xbox. No worries of the Windows cluttering up anything or whatever. Treat it like a Steam Deck OS almost, but with Xbox. That would be really cool.
And hopefully that's in fact the case. I'm sure that they have been hearing the feedback. They know that this is going to be a big deal. A lot of people want a game on the go. A lot of people are looking for that simplistic console-like OS, and I think that's what they're working towards right now. Crazy Lou Gaming, let's get your hot take on this. Obviously, this is a two-tiered conversation. There are talks, depending on who you believe and you don't, that the Xbox Series handheld could show up at the showcase. Makes a lot of sense. It's going to be a very big stage. We have been hearing for weeks that they are not leaving anything behind. It is going to be a balls to the wall, kitchen sink and everything kind of a showcase. That's what they need. I'm looking forward to it. But more importantly, do you believe that there is going to be another or a potential first party shadow drop like we saw with Hi-Fi Rush?
Like for the handheld situation, I mean, I'm with Boxenberger with the whole situation. Like I mentioned, it's gonna be like a next gen thing. But to be honest, though, it's time to talk about it. I feel like it's time, like, for them to bring that handheld into subject, so we can know more about it. What's gonna come? How is it gonna be? How's it going? So we can start comparing it to the other handhelds. And yes, I mean, it's time for them to show it. It's time for them to bring it to the table, because they mentioned this year about the big technological leap. It's time that we have more information about that to see what's going to be the big technological leap for next gen. And I know it's going to be big. I mean, I have a feeling it's going to be big since they mentioned it. So it will be interesting that in this showcase, I can show the handheld, see how everything is going to work, see what's the big technological leap. And yeah, they got to bring that thing into the talks right now, because basically there has been like a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff, but now we actually do believe there's actually a handheld out there that's going to be probably to the next gen console. But like how Boxenberger says it, though, is it going to be oversaturated? I mean, we got to know what's it going to bring. It's going to have a better battery life than the other handhelds, because that's something I say about handhelds. I used to have a 1X player, and the battery was like an hour and a half. So I had to like kept charging that sucker. I had to keep on charging it. And basically one of the things I have is that if for a good handheld to be like the hours for it to last should be like between like 3 and 5 hours. That's actually a good range for a battery life for a handheld. And of course, if it comes out, let's say, okay, on the go, it's 1080p 60 or 2K 60, I don't know. But as long as the battery life is good, I mean, I'm happy. I'll be really happy about it, because then I'll say, okay, I'm gonna get this sucker, because like I said, I had a 1X player and I had my difficulty with the battery life, and I was like, nah, this is not for me, and I sold it right away. So for the whole shadow drop situation, right? Every time there's a showcase, everybody talks about there's going to be a shadow drop. There's going to be a shadow drop. There's going to be a shadow drop. Me, I'm this type of guy that just says, when I see the show, I'll see if it's an actual shadow drop. But if there is a shadow drop, it could be 88 Immortals, or it could be there's people talking about that Octopath Traveler that could be shadow dropped. And yeah, I mean, I'll be excited for whatever if they actually do bring any shadow drop in scene. So let's see what's gonna happen. I mean, this show's gonna be interesting this Sunday.
I mean, look, The shadow drop, I am hoping, is going to be a big one. I'm not, and again, nothing against Towerborn. I think Towerborn is going to surprise a
Oh,
lot of
Talbot.
people.
Yes, Talbot.
That
My
is
God.
that is going
Oh,
to be
I
what.
got stimulated immortals.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
no, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Towerborn is going to be one of those games that you play like Castle Crashers with your buddies, and it looks like it has very deep RPG roots, hand drawn, looks amazing. I think that's going to be something special. Jez Corden of Windows Central can't stop gushing about it, and I didn't get into the beta, unfortunately. I only got the code for Steam, which I don't play on PC. So yeah, I declined. I wanted to play on Xbox. I didn't get in. It's fine. I'll wait for the game to come out. But Jamie Moran, let's bring you in on the topic of potential hardware conversation in the form of Handheld this upcoming Sunday. That would probably be handled by Sarah Bond, I would imagine. And is there a chance for a big AAA first party game to drop the day of the show? Like really put the punch into the industry? Because again, Sony failed. Their showcase was horrible. Nintendo already said that they're not talking about the Switch 2, not saying they're not going to have a good showcase, not saying that they're not going to have a good show at all this year. They probably will. But if we are looking at the importance of a showcase for any of the platform holders, it is Xbox. And this is their time to shine. If we're hearing that there is no holding back on this particular showcase, these two things need to happen. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'll talk about the whole shadow drop thing first. I think it's going to be one of two games. I think Towerborn is the most likely one. But I think if you really want to set the world on fire, it has to be something a bit bigger. And I think the other one could be the Oblivion remaster / remake.
Ah, dude, that's a great pick, bro. Wow,
That's a good
that's
one.
a good one. Yes,
That's a good one. Yeah, didn't think about that one.
Am I saying that just because I love Oblivion? Maybe. But I think it's very possible because like that was actually in the FTC documents, which Microsoft employee leaks. So I think that's kind of possible. And we don't. I've seen it listed as a remake and a remaster, so we still don't know what's going on with that. But if Microsoft, like we all know, the beginning of the year was atrocious, right? When it comes to the whole perception thing. So like, if you give people a shiny new game the day of their big showcase, and it happens to be an RPG, one of the most beloved RPGs of all time, that's going to get them some praise. I think people will really like that. I'm looking forward to Towerborn. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather have Oblivion. So I think it could be that. And when it comes to the whole hardware thing, I've been thinking this for a while, and as Boxenberger say, I think it's a weird thing because if the handheld Xbox is a next gen thing, I don't think we'll see it at all. I don't think they'll mention it. There won't be any slides. I don't think Phil Spencer will be wearing a T-shirt. I just don't think that'll be a thing. However, I think if it is happening this gen, it may be like an Xbox Series S just squeezed into a handheld. We have the technology to do that now.
Yep.
And I think, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, the handheld space, like, should Microsoft or Sony get into it? I'd say no. I'd laugh in people's faces. But the Steam Deck proved that there is a market for handheld devices outside of Nintendo. They did it right with the Steam Deck, and now everyone's making one. The ROG allies picking up Steam, and like people love that as well. So like, if they can make a native Xbox handheld where it is your Xbox games, your console games, and the best thing about Xbox is their ecosystem. Everything's interconnected.
Yeah.
You just sign into your console or PC, and your games are there. It just works, and that's Xbox's strong suit. So if they can get that to work on a handheld and maybe launch it this year, I think people would love that. Price is obviously going to be a factor, but again, if it's an S squeezed into a handheld, it might not be that expensive. And I think that Microsoft, they clearly need to do something to change the tide. I do think the whole Game Pass getting Call of Duty thing, that's going to be a big mover for Xbox this year. I really do. But I think the state of gaming right now, and they have a cheaper product with the Series S. I think if they have a handheld, it could really work in their favor. Sony, they've never really gave their handhelds, that much attention. The PlayStation Vita was much beloved, but they didn't really put many first-party titles on it that were big, and they abandoned it. So, like, if it works with all of your Xbox games, and that would be the major thing, if it works with everything you have, it'll be a huge success. And ever since the original Xbox, I've seen people talk about an Xbox handheld, want an Xbox handheld, because I love the idea. And bear in mind, I don't play games on the go. I play games on my couch, on my chair, and I have no interest in a handheld. However, the thought of an official Xbox handheld, that does interest me because their hardware is top notch.
Yep.
So I think that if it is this generation and it's a Series S handheld, we'll see it this Sunday and it will release in October.